Let's go do some technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. We're getting a nice little pump. Altcoins I see are popping. Bitcoin is popping. We claimed the high, forming a little bit of a consolidation area here at the moment. What does the probabilities look like? And also, as per the thumbnail, something that I need to discuss. Okay, it's going to be a very interesting, guys. Let me just put my phone here on silence. Okay, there we go. So it's not distracting you in the background. Something that I need to discuss here on the higher time frame. Okay, this is Bitcoin since inception. What a beautiful chart. I think we all wish that we bought some Bitcoin over here. I mean, how amazing. Okay, it's a scam. No one knows what it is. Why bother? It was difficult even to buy it from a technology perspective. The hoops that you had to jump through. But nonetheless, this is where we are. And I want to discuss this structure today. Okay, but before I get into the macro time frame here on the 2-week time frame, let's maybe go and look at Bitcoin here at the moment. Some trading possibilities, opportunities that I see here at the moment. And I think the last stream I did 2 days ago, okay, was I discussed this little structure. We were here. That is when I did my last live stream, I think. Yes, it was. Okay. And I spoke about the possibility of a 1, 2, 3, a running flat in a 4. And if we take this low again, it could be a completed 5-wave structure. So I am looking for a long. You can go up and form a 3-wave structure and continue momentum to the downside. But then this happened, okay, which then turned me bullish, guys. And this is the one thing that you have to remember, okay? You could be looking for a short, but if I don't see the structure that I like to confirm bearishness to the downside, I have to switch. I have to throw my bearish hat off and switch on my bullish hat because I have to adapt to the market. Okay, so when this move up happened, it was too quick in time, because this is one of the things, you know, guys, and this is so important from an education perspective. So what I was looking at is time. So when I measure, okay, from the start to the end of this impulse, you can see that this high was made before my minimum time requirement, which increased the probabilities that price is most likely still going to claim this high again. And because it was so close to this high, even from a FIB perspective, I was like, damn, son. Okay, you tapped a 0.9, 0.88 FIB, increasing the probability of taking this high. So, I mean, what was the chances of a rejection, a 3-wave structure? So it's just, it reduced the probability for a corrective structure and continuation to the downside. So, from a trade management perspective, and this is, you know, it's just trade management at the end of the day, I was looking for a short. The short did not happen. Okay, I entered a long. I do have a screenshot here just to show you guys, because I already closed the trade. Just want to see, where's that trade? Okay, here's it. Okay, I just want to show you guys. I did enter the long because I discussed it in the live stream. I'm looking for a long opportunity. This is where I entered the long. And then when this move happened, I took some profits on the way up, definitely. Okay, I actually took majority of the profits over here. And then I told the private community, our Mind Pillar community, that I am going to TP myself out of the position at higher levels. Okay, and my position was protected. I took majority of the profits already, so if it wants to go down, at least I get stopped out with profits. If it goes up, then I maximize my profits to the upside. So if I'm wrong in my technical analysis, which I am, a lot of the time I have to adapt my plan. I have to adapt to the market. Okay. And I think that is why it's so nice to be in the Mind Pillar community, because as the market changes and adapts, we can keep the people updated. Right. Let me just, oh, wait. Let me do this. Okay. So a nice little trade, I must say. This was a really, really nice, high probable trade. And guys, I really love to trade 5-wave structures. Okay, the reason this was such a great trade for me, is because you have a move down in massive amount of volume. Then you take the low again with decreasing volume. I love to see that when volume decreases and you take the low again. I love to trade these 5-wave structures because worst case scenario or minimum requirement is you get at least a 3-wave structure up and you continue. So I wanted to take advantage of that move. But then this move happened too quickly to the upside from a timing perspective. Okay, and then I was like, okay, now I can hold on to more of the position to come and claim the high. So price moved up. Let me just take the time flip here out the way. So what then happened is price moved up and I maximized my profits here to the upside. Yes, I should have left a runner, as they say, but I executed according to my plan. Okay, so for me, if I take a trend-based flip, this was my trading plan. Just to show everyone, this was my trading plan. It was this little low over here. Okay. My trading plan was as follows. I'm looking for a long in a 5-wave structure because I know it's at least going to retrace before it continues momentum to the downside. Then when it just shot up here, I was like, oh, this is turning to be a little bit more bullish than I expected. So I started taking profits in the zone. Majority, about 80% of the profits I took inside of this zone. Okay. And then I knew, okay, there's a high chance you're going to at least tap the 1-to-1 extension. This is also what I highlighted in the community. So I TP'd myself a little bit out. Yeah, I took another 50% profits there. And then, yeah, at the 1.236, I closed the position. Round about that zone. That was my trading plan. Because price went higher, I actually don't care. For me, what is most important is my plan worked out. I ticked my trading plan worked out. Successful trade. I don't care if price goes higher after that or falls to the downside. Now I'm looking for a new trading opportunity. And that's also what I said yesterday in the community, is to say that, well, I'm fully out of the trade now. Now I'm looking for a new trading opportunity. And the only trading opportunity that now makes sense to me is to start looking for shorts. I cannot look for longs with an explosion like this to the upside. It's more interesting for me to start looking for shorts, because whatever goes up has to start correcting itself. Okay, and I will discuss this structure here in a moment. So, you know, we're gonna I just wanted to tackle what happened since Monday's live stream and how I traded it. And I think what is more important is that if I'm feeling bearish from a technical perspective, not feeling, if technically I have a 5-wave structure and the probabilities are higher to continue to the downside, but the market is showing me that it wants to move up, I have to adapt. I have to change. I have to adapt to the market. I can't be blinded so heavily by my technical analysis that I am just shorting like a crazy person and then liquidating my account here to the upside. Okay, you just have to adapt. So yesterday in the community, I told everyone I'm now looking for shorts. I still have not entered a short. I've actually entered a little scalp long here to the upside, which might not play out, but it's a small little trade. But I'll explain this structure here in a moment. Okay, and again, I might change my mind depending on what plays out here. Okay, so now let's go here onto the 4-hour time frame and just quickly want to take stock of where we are. Yes, high impact news today and also yesterday, and I think we also have high impact news tomorrow. So quite a high volatile week this week with news events. So one of the scenarios here on the larger time frame, 4-hour time frame, is this one. Okay, and this is a scenario that I have been discussing during many live streams. And also during many live streams, I told everyone this is my favorite scenario. The question is, were we going to get a B flat or were we going to move higher? And now it looks like this scenario is playing out. 3-wave structure in W, triangle in an X wave, and an A, B, C here to the upside to complete Y. There's a chance that Y can be in because we just tapped the minimum Y wave target. But there's also a chance that price can still grind a little bit higher to the 786, and this 786 level, guys, $97,920 is a very interesting level where I will be paying attention if price gets there for a swing short to the downside, because this could be a short that takes the low. Okay, because from a macro perspective, if I just zoom into the structure and I take a fib, okay, just to keep it very simple from a technical perspective, from the high to the low, well, that 0.786 also aligns. Can you guys see here? Yes, you guys can see here. Also with the minimum Fibonacci target from the high to the low. When you have a correction, it is very common to at least hit a minimum target. And I'm calling it a minimum target. It can go higher because the most common Y wave target is the 1.236 to the 1.382. That is the most common Y wave target, but we have now just rejected from the minimum target. So it can fall. Maybe it goes higher, it falls, but there's a high chance that this is a 3-wave structure and we're going to take the low again. For now, I hate to say this, whether you like it or not, technically the probabilities are higher that this is a corrective structure and we are with a higher probability going to take the low again. If the move gets very explosive to the upside and it at least taps $112,000, then we open up the door where this low could be protected. But until then, the probabilities remain higher because we're not here yet that we're going to take this low. 3-wave corrective structure in a WXY. We have a 3-wave. This is maybe your W, you form your X, you go down for an ABC. And this is now something what I want to discuss here on the higher time frame inside of this structure as well. Okay. Now, before we get into the bear market, okay, before we get into that, let's dive here into the smaller time frames. So basically from a 4-hour perspective, you could form a W, X, Y here to the upside. We have hit a minimum target. Okay, we can, it would be nice, guys, it would really be nice to move a little bit higher and tap the 0.382. That would be great. Technically, that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, Dewald the legend, Mr. Andy, what? Boyan Day Jack, woo, can't even pronounce that name. Welcome to the live stream. I see you here in the comments, Mr. Jack Moderator, always great to see you here. And who else? Oh damn, my bad. Swing short. Yes, you took 80%, then again 50. Yes, because if I take 80%, there's still 100% of 20% remaining. So if I take 50% of the 20% remaining, okay, basically that's how it works, right? PPI today, yes. High impact news today, be aware. Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream. Okay, let's continue. Oh, there we go. Andy, now that looks better. That looks way better. Maybe you joined with one of your other accounts. Dewald the Master in the house. Guys, if you haven't checked out Andy, I mean, I always talk about Andy. Andy always talks about me. Go and check out, he's here in the com section, guys. If you have not seen Andy's channel, go and check him out. Absolute legend. Right, so let's continue. Let me just clean up the chart over here. Let's take the scenario out the way. So, without putting all the fancy Picasso drawings in here, there's a high chance that this is a three-wave structure to the downside. There's a high chance for now that this is corrective, and unfortunately the probabilities are still higher that you're going to take this low. This can either be a W or it can be an A. If it's an A, I must say the local scenario doesn't really support price to go that high, but if this is an A wave, you can go up to the 0.9 Fibonacci, okay, without claiming the high. You can go here, okay, and then you fall down, because then you form an ABC flat here to the downside. But anyways, I think a WXY has higher probability at the moment based on the local structure that is formed over here. Okay, now let's get back here into the 1 hour time frame. Let's discuss the probabilities, the scenarios. Okay, so by the way, something that I wanted to highlight over here, do I still have it here? Leading diagonal. Remember guys, when we discussed this leading diagonal here to the downside, okay, I've always said, and I always say, that diagonals carry the lowest probability. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we took the high, it got invalidated. Okay, diagonals never carry the highest probability. And that was basically the only bearish case scenario, is that you formed a diagonal because you cannot count an impulsive structure to the downside. And once you form a diagonal, it's not the highest probability. So the second highest probability scenario is multi 1-2s. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then it got invalidated. This is where the multi 1-2s got invalidated. Now you're stuck with, okay, the lowest probable scenario, impulse in a diagonal. And what I like to see in a diagonal, if it had to form and successfully play out, is a nice little zigzag to the upside. So that should have been your high, and you needed to continue to the downside. And we didn't. We kept on going sideways, which increased the probabilities even more that this diagonal is not going to play out. Right, I think what's most interesting now is that let's focus on this little structure on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, and there's a couple of ways in which we can count the structure here to the upside. So I'm just going to focus from here. Right, ABC, yeah, I mean, this can be very interesting. I will get to that in a moment, but here is one of the scenarios that I am currently watching at the moment. Okay, this could play out, and this scenario has a clear invalidation. You have formed a 1, a 3-wave corrective structure in a 2. All of this is your third wave, and I'm specifically labeling this the third wave because it carries the highest amount of volume. So if I'm looking at an impulse to the upside, speculating on price to move up and go and tap at least that minimum FIB target that I've just highlighted, the 0.382 from the all-time high to the all-time low, well, to the low of this structure, okay? You do not want the 0.618 to be claimed. You want momentum to continue here to the upside. So this morning, this is what I highlighted, and I know it looks a little bit messy, but it will make sense when I explain it. You have formed a 1, 2, 3, and I said your 4 is either done in a 3-wave structure and we go up for 5 in a 5-wave structure, but now this is an absolute mess, which looks to me that it's more an ABC that is forming here at the moment. Okay, because the second scenario I highlighted was, where did I save that one? Local ABC, here we go, is this one. I just want to delete this FIB. I don't need to delete that FIB. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to take this out because it doesn't look like that's going to play out, but this is now a scenario that could play out. Okay, let me just update the scenario over here. Because after a 3-wave down, I want to see an impulsive structure up, and I'm not seeing an impulsive structure up, which tells me that this could be a complex B wave that's starting to form over here, or a WXY. I'll go through that scenario at the moment. But if there's a chance to claim this high again, this is what I'm getting at. If there's a chance to claim this high again, you don't want the 0.618 to be claimed. Perhaps we're forming a larger three-wave structure here, and because this initial structure is a three-wave structure in a wave A, it means that B has to at least tap the 0.9. Then you can still fall down in a C and you tap the 0.5, because now we swing failed here from the 0.382. Can you guys see if I just take the scribble here out the way? Okay, this is where I entered my long this morning. I know the structure is still very fresh, but you have a three-wave structure down. You got acceptance back above the 0.3. When we got acceptance back above, I entered along with my stop below the low. So this is the small little scalp trade that I'm in at the moment. And I know that it has a chance, okay, to at least come and hit the 0.9. Doesn't have to claim the high, but I will TP1 and I will TP2 over here. Okay, and as soon as I TP1, I will protect my position. And I mean, this guys, and I did highlight this in the pro community as well, to say that this structure can still morph into something crazy. Okay, after a three-wave structure, this can give you an A. It can even give you a W. A, B, C. Maybe that's a W. You form a X. Maybe this is another A, B, C. Okay, so it continues down, but it's still corrective, but you don't want the 0.618 to be claimed. Okay, so this can still morph into something different. But for now, based on the current price action that I see in front of me, I can see a three-wave structure. That's not a five-wave structure. When I see a three-wave structure to the downside, I always know that there's a high chance to claim that high again. Whether it goes up directly or whether it does an A, B, C that rejects before it claims the high, okay, that's another longing opportunity, that's another shorting opportunity. The B wave can go and claim the highs. You will see that I have a 1.618 that I've made red now with an invalidation. That's usually your invalidation for a B wave or flat, because your flat needs to reject inside of this little box over here. Okay, and that's your minimum flat target. So from a local perspective, this looks like a very interesting area. Okay, some scalps, I have a little scalp running here to the upside. If I get stopped out, it's a small little trade. It's a scalp. It's not a big swing position. It's a small little scalp trade. I entered over here. My stop is below the low. Okay, TP1, TP2. Maybe I'll leave a little runner. Maybe it's going to go a little bit higher. We'll see how this plays out. But I am very interested in a short over here, because if it successfully rejects over here, there's a high chance it's going to come and claim this low. So this could be a beautiful move to trade. And then after an ABC, what do you get to the upside? You get a five-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To complete your five-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and this, ladies and gentlemen, this zone, I am very interested in a short, a bigger short position. So I'm more interested in shorts where price is at the moment than longs. And when I attempt a long, it's scalp positions. It's small little positions just for fun, okay? Still with good risk management, I'm applying my rules. I'm checking my checklist. Right, so this is one scenario that I'm looking at the moment. And remember to smash up that like button. 1.618 is also commonly hit by fifth wave. Yes, it is. Doesn't the common target of your wave 5, 1.236 from the high of 3 to the low of 4? Yes, that is one way to measure it as well for your fifth wave, which is also, it's basically your flat targets that I've highlighted here. Okay? It really depends on how we move up. Okay, and I know it's not always easy, because this, ladies and gentlemen, could mimic a fifth wave. If this had to move up here, okay, it could mimic a fifth wave. Okay, the fifth wave is in, now we're only going down. And then price stops and it takes the high again, and you ask yourself, what happened? I thought I caught it. We were supposed to tank, and now we went and we stopped me out. Okay? Because this could be an A, a B, a C, and then it goes up for the fifth wave. And often a B flat looks like it's a fifth wave to the upside, but it really depends on how the structure forms, because a B wave has to be a 3-wave structure. It's not allowed to be a 5-wave structure, where the 5th wave has to be a 5-wave structure. So if this moves up like this, 1, 2, 3, and it falls, there's a higher chance it's a B wave. Okay? And you could potentially sweep up the lows and continue in a proper 5-wave structure to the upside to complete wave 5. So you have to read the structure. If this starts moving up like this, maybe a 5-wave move here to the upside, which is not pretty, but I mean, I need to give it the benefit of the doubt, then there's a chance that your correction for your 4 is done. This is your 5, and you're not going to get this. Okay, you're not going to get that. Okay, but yes, this is also your target for a 5th wave. But nonetheless, guys, can you see that from a directional bias perspective, you don't care whether this is 5 or whether this is B. From a directional bias perspective, you don't care because you're looking for a short. And if it wants to go and tap the 1.618, which is, by the way, at the 0.382 from the macro perspective, then I will play, I will be keeping an eye on these levels for swing failure levels, okay? Like what happened here. I mean, this was a beautiful swing failure pattern. The wick is a little bit long, okay? Can you guys see what happened here? Woo, you dip. You get acceptance back below. You leave a wick behind, not even a body of a candle or anything. And then you find downwards momentum. That was a beautiful SFP. So I will be looking for swing failures from these lines, specifically the high. And I know that B flats also love to reject from the 0.9. Okay, so an interesting short zone. Whether it's a B or whether it's a 5, I don't care, because the directional bias is down to at least come and claim the lows. And that is why the lows is such an important profit-taking area. Because if you think that you're shorting a 5th wave, you might just leave your position and get stopped out. But because I know it could be a B, I will definitely take profits when we slap the lows. And then if it wants to continue, because maybe it was a 5th wave, then you have the runner that runs, like I managed the previous trade. Okay. Here we go. I hope I... Testing. Can you guys hear me? I think I just stuffed up my... Sorry guys, I just want to see, I look like I might just have to restart my mic here quickly. Let's try this again. That should be back now. Yes, it's back. Sorry guys, I dropped my mic and I'm getting so passionate about these technical analysis and explaining scenarios. I just dropped my mic drop situation over here, and doing some funny stuff here on the charts. So let's go. I am late. Mr. Nico, welcome to the live stream. All good. We can hear you. Okay, perfect. It looks like everything is all back. Okay, great. So I lost my train of thought, but anyways, I hope that I have explained the situation as best as I possibly can. Okay, but this is now considering the bearish or the bullish case scenario where we do go and claim this high again. In a 1, 2, 3, I label it the 3 because highest amount of volume is mostly in your 3rd wave, and then 4 is either in, we go up for 5, or we create the 3-wave structure and then we go up for 5. Doesn't really matter. Okay, but my directional bias here at the top is to start looking for shorts. I'm very interested in shorts in this zone over here, because even if it continues, because what could happen over here is that you form a 5, because when you have a 5-wave impulse, there's always the opportunity that you form a 3-wave corrective structure and you continue, because you have a 5-wave to the upside. you form an A, B, C. So it depends on how the move falls to the downside. If it's overlappy, okay, slow, like this, okay, if price does this, and as soon as it overlaps this pivot, that's usually a clue that I look for. As soon as price overlaps that pivot, that usually opens up the door that this is a high probable corrective structure. Because in an impulse to the downside, you don't really want to see overlap between the structures. And this is what I'm currently seeing at the moment in the local structures. If I go here on the 5-minute time frame, okay, oops, there we go. And I look at from the high to this low over here. Okay, can you guys see that low? There's overlap, loads of overlap. You fall to the downside and you have overlap. Choppy, choppy, choppy. In an impulse, I want to see a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, no overlap, and a 5. Now that becomes an interesting shorting opportunity. But now we are going sideways with an overlapping structure, which for now does increase the probabilities that this high could be claimed again. Because I cannot, based on the structure and the candles that I see in front of me, I cannot count an impulse to the downside. For now, this looks corrective. And as long as we don't claim that 0.618 that I've highlighted, okay, from this low to the high, there's a chance we can go and claim this high again. As simple as that. As long as price, oops, not this one, guys, it's this one. Yeah, it's this one because that's where I played the SFB. As long as price does not claim the 0.618, whatever price does over here, there's a chance you're going to go and claim that high. So from a scalping perspective, it is interesting to look for some long opportunities, you know, from a scalp perspective. But the trade that I'm most interested in is over here. That's the trade that I'm most interested in at the moment. Because after a 5-wave move up, maybe 4's in, maybe 4's going to form here. But after a 5-wave move up, you at least expect a correction. If it's a C wave to the upside, well, then you expect a low to be claimed again. Okay, and this is another scenario that I quickly want to chat about. So let's take this out the way. Let me just see. I have my trends over here. You know, it's always a little bit tricky. You know, do you use that pivot? Do you use this pivot? I just want to see what's happening here. It did break out, but I mean, from a what's the best way to say it? From a degree perspective, this looks like a better trend to keep track of. Anyways, I'm not trading the trend at the moment. I'm already in a long position. Right. So we've discussed this. Now I want to look at the scenario. Okay. So one of the scenarios that I have to consider is that what if the high is in? Okay, there's always that what if scenario. What if the high is in and we're not going to get there? At the moment, locally, it doesn't look like the highest probability, but I have to consider it. What if the high is in? Ideally, what I want to see here to the downside is a 5-wave impulse. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but I have to consider it. So in an ABC, you basically formed an A, a B, and a C to the upside. Inside of the C wave, I can count a 1, 2, 3, 4, and an extended 5th wave. It has to be said that extended 5th waves are rare. You don't see them often. But there's a way in which I can count the structure as completed at the top. And you can see how beautifully it rejected from the 2.618. And I have seen C waves extend to the 2.618. It has a higher probability of being a 3rd wave because they are rare, but I have seen it. Okay, inside of your 5th wave over here, you can also see I did a count here to say that, well, you know, I have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Inside of your 5, you also have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And every single 5th wave inside of the structure has an extension. So It's not great to see, but you know, I have to consider what if the high is in. But now when I'm looking at the local structure, for now, based on the price action that I see in front of me, it doesn't really look impulsive to the downside. Maybe with more price action that plays out, I might change my tune like I did with that other trade that I took. But for now, I have no reason to believe yet that we are just going to fall. Okay. Right. Then there's also, I just want to take these weekly levels out the way. There we go. Okay. I just want to go here onto the 15-minute time frame. So this is basically the bearish case scenario. Okay. What could play out here is that you have formed you have formed an A wave in a leading diagonal. Okay, and when your leading diagonal is a wave A, B has to be a flat, and this is inside the flat zone at the moment. So whether that's the high or whether you claim the high again, you could go down in a C wave to come and claim this low. This is why, guys, I am looking for a short in this zone. If I don't get the short, so be it. There's always another trade around the corner. But if this structure is going to continue in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is why I'm so interested in the short. Because best case scenario is price comes and claims this low. Worst case scenario for the trade is that you form a correction and you continue back to the upside. But you know, there's still a lot of price action that needs to play out in order for me to manage that trade. Okay, so there's definitely the possibility for an A, a B, and a C. And then you continue back to the upside. Because after an ABC, you want to see continuation back to the upside. Which basically means we are just going to extend the damn range. Okay, it's just going to get boring for a little bit longer. Can you see here? You basically it's just going to claim the low and it's going to go back up. Okay, so you're just continuing the range. Okay, now before error, not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Let me know in the comments section if you guys can still hear me. I'm getting some technical errors here on my side. Some messages saying that the stream might buffer for the viewers. Okay. Bro, you have sat here for months talking bollocks about waves. I call you rambling man. Okay, well, you know, if you want to be salty, okay, I don't have time for salty people here in the stream. I will just take you out of the stream. There you go. You've been taken out of the stream. Goodbye. Right, guys, I'm just sharing my technical analysis, my opinion based on what I see from a technical perspective. I'm here to educate, show you how I enter the trades. If you don't like it, then go somewhere else. It's as simple as that. Right, but something very interesting that I want to discuss here on the macro time frame, and I'm getting to that now. I just want to wrap up here what I'm discussing, but I think we're pretty much done. Thanks, Dewald, for sharing opportunities. However, overcome the minefields first. It's all right, my side, Dewald. Absolute pleasure. Can hear. Okay, so you guys can hear me. Dewald, you are perfect. Perfect. Okay, cool. So you guys can hear me. I'm just getting some error messages here on my streaming software saying that you guys are getting technical issues. Okay. Now, before we continue, this is the last day, guys. This is the last day for access, 30 days free access to myself and Andy's community. So if you haven't taken advantage of this deal, today is the last day. So make sure that you take advantage of the deal before the day is over. What you get a PDF trader playbook, and I have seen some comments of people saying, okay, that they couldn't download the PDF playbook. The development team is working on it, or maybe they've already fixed the issue. But we're aware of it. It will be fixed. You will be able to download the PDF playbook. Okay. You will also get 30 days free inside of the community. And how to unlock it, you need to join Telegram, message the word Dewald to @mindpillar. You can search for @mindpillar inside of Telegram, and then one of the team members will assist you through the process. There is subject to eligibility and onboarding steps that you will need to go through as well. Okay. One of the requirements is you have to sign up with one of these two links down in the description. Valto, okay, is a decentralized exchange with the lowest trading fees at the moment. And then Bluffin, you get 15% cash back, and also you get 30 days VIP1 if you sign up today. Okay, so that's basically one of the steps to get access for free for 30 days inside of the community, and also the trader playbook. Guys, it's an amazing deal, okay? And myself and Andy are putting a lot of effort into the community. I don't think people realize how much work goes into the back end of the community, the coaches. We're doing some interviews with, I don't want to spill some beans, okay? We have Dylan going live inside of Telegram, doing private live streams, checking out altcoins, macro updates. We have fundamental news. We have, I think it's a great community, guys. We're really working hard to deliver absolute fundamental value inside of that community. So if you want to be part of that, you know, here's your chance. Here's your chance. Now, before we continue, such a great community getting, guys, Nico, yes, you there. Okay, always so positive. And people, you know, it's so nice to be surrounded by like-minded people, just to bounce ideas around. Okay, share your analysis. What do you guys think? If you're still learning, it's the best place to join a community, especially if you're still learning. And even if you're a little bit experienced, sometimes you just need to have a trading buddy or someone to bounce ideas against. Okay, because often people see things that you don't see. Even myself and Andy, sometimes, you know, Andy has a bad trading week, and he asks me, what do you think? And then sometimes I have a bad trading week, and then I phone Andy and I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. Okay, and we help each other. It's nice to have a trading buddy. Dewald Trading, don't worry about salty people. They can't trade. Well, you know what I do, guys. Well, I just kick, you know, if you want to be salty and you want to be negative, I don't have time for negative Nellies here in the live stream. I'll just kick you out. Okay, if you want to be salty, go be salty somewhere else. Because if you're not passionate about educating and trying to learn how to do this properly, I mean, okay, this is the purpose of this channel, is that I want to teach you to do this by yourself. Okay, and I'm just sharing with you technicals at the end of the day. But now, this is where it gets interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment that everyone has been waiting for. The macro time frame. Okay, so I need to put a disclaimer, or not really a disclaimer, I need to put a what if scenario out there to say that, well, based on this is what I am discussing at the moment. Do you guys all know about the 4-year cycle theory? So what I thought about is that, what if the 4-year cycle theory has not been invalidated? What if it's actually playing out to perfection? So based on that statement, we could be in a bear market. And maybe it's a difficult pill for people to swallow, but let's entertain that scenario for shits and giggles. Let's say, for this, what I'm about to discuss, that the 4-year cycle theory is still intact. People have just not come around to it just as yet. Okay, so based on this 4-year cycle theory, we are in a bear market. I'm not saying we are definitely in a bear market. I'm saying based on the 4-year cycle theory, let's discuss where we are inside of the structure at the moment. Okay, and this is the discussion I want to have, and then maybe in the next live stream I'll also discuss some other scenarios. So this is not the scenario that I truly believe in and it's going to happen. I am discussing a scenario that could play out. Okay, yeah, on the higher time frame. I just want to be very clear, because I know the salty comments that I'm going to get after this live stream. You said, and this is what, guys, this is just a scenario. And the scenario that I want to present now is just to say that, well, what if the 4-year cycle theory has not been invalidated? What if it's still playing out to perfection? People just don't want to believe that we are in a bear market. Okay, so based on the 4-year cycle theory, these are basically every 4 years. Every 4 years, you form a low. Okay, you form a low. And between these two lines is 4 years. Between these two lines is 4 years. Between these two lines is 4 years. Okay. And you then also have a bull market. I'm just going to keep it very simple here. Between each 4 years, you have a bull and a bear market. Okay. And remember, guys, they are never perfect. Okay. Look, you have the low, you have the bull market, and you have the bear market. Your bull market is typically 3 years, and your bear market is typically 12 months. You have another bull market and a bear market. And you guys can see it all happens within the 4-year cycle theory. Now, what could have happened is maybe we completed the bull market. Okay, because it makes sense. We missed the line. Okay, by a month. We missed the line by a month. If I compare where this ended and where this ended, we almost tapped it, but we were very close. We almost tapped it, but we were close enough. And when you go and you count the days of every single bull market, you will see that they're never the same, but they are more or less the same. So I'm entertaining the scenario just to say that, well, what if it ended? The bull market's done. And this is the start of the bear market. Okay? Maybe we go down. And then we continue the bull market again. So based on the 4-year cycle theory, there's a good chance that we are now inside of a bear market. And there's a lot of hopium that we are going to continue. Right, so we missed the finish line. You guys can see we missed the finish line ever so slightly. We missed the finish line, but it's close enough. It's not invalidated. The 4-year cycle theory is still intact if I explain this scenario. Which means the bad news is, okay, that this correction can still continue up until October of this year. Guys, and this is just one scenario. There are other scenarios as well, and maybe I'll discuss them during the next live streams. I am now just discussing this scenario based on maybe the 4-year cycle theory has not been broken. It's still very much intact. And this has been the most disappointing bull run that we have experienced so far in crypto. And maybe it is just what it is. It was the worst altcoin season that we've ever seen. It was the worst bull run that we've ever seen. Okay. And sometimes things just is the way that it is. Okay. Maybe we were supposed to have a very boring bull run, so that when the correction ends, maybe the next one is going to be very exciting. And this is what I want to discuss now again, because someone also asked me, well, many people keep on asking me, Dewald, are you still bullish on Bitcoin? Well, yes, because one of the scenarios that I keep an eye on, which is actually one of my primary scenarios, which means it's a scenario for the moment that carries high probability. There are many scenarios on the macro time frame, but this scenario looks very interesting to me, and let me explain it. Okay, so if the bull market is done and we are going to have a deeper correction, this is the count that I came up with. Okay, and I'll zoom into this structure here at the moment. Where did I save this? There's only in macro nested 1-2s. Here we go. This is potentially what could still play out on Bitcoin. So long term, I am still very, very bullish on Bitcoin. And this is one of my primary scenarios. And let me explain why it's one of my primary scenarios. You all know that everyone keeps on talking about every bull cycle is getting smaller and smaller, but also each correction is getting smaller and smaller. So just quickly from an education perspective, when a structure builds a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2, you can see that they become smaller. And then you get the explosion to the upside in a third wave. Okay? And you form your 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. So you basically repeat this over here. And the biggest characteristic of multi-1-2s is that your gains get smaller and your losses get smaller. Gains get smaller and your losses get smaller. So maybe, just maybe, one of the reasons this has been the most boring bull market that we have ever seen is because the structure is building multiple 1-2s. From the inception, you have a 1 and a 2. A 1 and a 2. You can see that they are gradually getting smaller. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then maybe, just maybe, this is your last, most boring 1, 2. After multiple 1-2s, at some point you expect an explosive third wave here to the upside. Okay, no one knows how high that's going to go, but that is where the speculation also comes in with super cycles, because third waves can be very explosive, especially after multiple 1-2s. So it could mean that maybe we have experienced the most boring bull market that we've ever seen in our lives, because what's about to happen is going to blow people's socks off. Because once you go into a third wave, I don't know how high that's going to go, guys, but it can get really punchy to the upside. Okay? That is where you're going to see a proper, even a better bull market than what we've experienced before. Okay. But we are basically experiencing multiple 1-2s on the macro time frame. And what also gives the scenario higher probability is, in a multiple 1-2 scenario, you want to see volume decreasing as each 1-2 is building to the upside. And as you can see, volume has been decreasing as price has been moving here to the upside. Guys, and this is since 2010. Okay, this is macro time frame analysis. So it has all the ingredients to be nested 1-2. You decreasing each move to the upside. It's almost like it's squashing, it's building that diagonal. You have decreasing volume, so you're seeing all the signs from an Elliott wave perspective that says this is the perfect recipe to get upwards momentum in a third wave. Okay, so, and this is based on the fact, I just have to highlight this again, that what if the 4-year cycle theory is indeed intact? And the reason we've had such a boring bull market, absolutely boring, is because we have built another 1 and a 2, and they're supposed to get smaller as they grind to the upside, and it's basically condensing into a spring that's going to explode at some point. So now I want to focus on this structure here quickly. Okay. Let's switch this off. Let's go into maybe the weekly time frame, so I can just expand on this structure a little bit. Okay, since, well, this boring bull market that we have experienced here to the upside, which has been most probably one of the most difficult bull markets to trade to date. We haven't seen an altcoin season. Okay, it's been a boring bull market, and you can see even since we formed this low, volume has been decreasing. Okay, but it's what you want to see from a nested 1-2. So now let me open up this scenario over here. Do you guys remember here on the 12-hour time frame? And this is something that myself and Andy have spoken a lot about. It is very strange to end something with a 3-wave structure. And this is why, even when we started falling here to the downside, I kept on saying there's a high chance you're going to claim this high. But you can end a structure in a three-wave structure if it is a diagonal, an ending diagonal. Okay, so I'm now, guys, I'm just building up every puzzle piece to fit into what if the 4-year cycle theory has not been broken. Okay, so back here onto the weekly time frame, I have to then count the structure as follow. I have to. I don't have a choice, because this is the only count that makes sense, because we ended in a three-wave structure. So how I'm counting it is just to say this is your 1, your 2, your 3. Okay, you have high amount of volume there in 3. You have your 4. And then you ended your 5th wave in an ending diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in an ending diagonal, your structures have to be three-wave structures. So that 5th wave then makes sense if this is an ending diagonal, which then means that your bull market ended over here. And this is the start of the bear market. Okay, so like I said, guys, let's go here onto the daily time frame. Now I'm zooming into the structure over here. So what could potentially play out here? And this is something that I discussed in the previous live stream as well. This, for the moment, looks like a three-wave structure. This looks like a three-wave structure. And let's say this is a W, okay? And this is forming a X here to the upside. And we are going to fall down in an A, B, C to the downside. Okay, so the easiest way to do this so that it kind of makes sense is to take the bars pattern, and I just copy this structure from the high to the low, and I say, okay, well, maybe this is what's going to play out. Okay, and we can make it even a little bit longer, because your Y wave can even be a little bit longer. Okay, so that is definitely a scenario that could play out. I actually want to drag it a little bit to the downside. Also, what is interesting is that when, I'm now speculating, what if the bear market started? We are just in denial. We were refusing to accept that we are in a bear market. Okay. The most interesting area of support, and maybe let me go back here to the regular scale and put it there, still lies to the downside. So you form your top. You create a three-wave structure to the downside. 618, you have a massive consolidation area that can still provide support. This forms a W, X, Y to the downside. And then, okay, that's your 1, that's your 2, and you go up based on the macro scenario that I've just shown you guys. So long term, I am still extremely bullish on Bitcoin. That's basically what it boils down to, guys. Even if we go into a bear market, it just means that I have an opportunity to add more aggressively, especially when we come down to this zone. The maximum target for wave 2 is usually the 0.786, which is the maximum target, which is $39,000. Okay, but the most common second wave target is between the 50% and the 786. Okay, there's a high chance that you are going to bounce in this zone that is providing support. But I actually think what would be nice, and this is what I discussed in the previous live stream as well, it would actually be really nice to claim this low. It would be nice to claim that low. Now remember, guys, I have my bearish hat on now. I'm speculating that the 4-year cycle theory has not been broken. We are in a bear market, but we have not accepted it yet. Because I can tell you now that this movement here to the upside looks extremely corrective. It looks very corrective. Okay, so there's a chance you're going to claim that low again. And it could get really nasty. You could repeat this structure here to the downside. Okay. We'll see how this unfolds. Right, and that's basically what I wanted to say, legends, is that based on this 4-year cycle theory, if we're speculating that it has not been invalidated, well, then theoretically we are inside of a bear market. And if we continue up by some miracle, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correction, and we continue, well, then the 4-year cycle theory is in the bin. then it will be invalidated. But for now, it has not been invalidated, because that high was made very close to invalidate, well, very close to the target of the 4-year cycle theory. Very, very, very close. Okay. So very interesting. Let me go through some comments and hear some of your views. Okay. But I like to see an impulse to the upside, and whatever the correction offers me, it presents a buying opportunity. So I will just keep on adding to my bags. Right, guys, and I know that this correction with the previous bull cycle was scary. I know it was scary as hell. Okay, you guys remember this? It was scary. This correction here to the downside. It was absolutely euphoric, yeah, but this was scary. Okay, but you still formed a higher low. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction, higher low, you continue. Okay, there's no reason for me yet to believe that we are just going to fall yet to the downside and close the CME gap at $9,000. There is a bearish scenario that could take us there, but for the purpose of this live stream, I just wanted to share this scenario. Okay, let me go through some comments and hear your views. Thank you for everything, Dewald. Zach, Burke, absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for joining the live stream. Are there any time-based fib extensions we can watch for a WXY? Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay, so if I zoom into this structure, let's take, well, I'm just going to leave the bars pattern here, but typically you want, okay, let me first draw it and then I'll explain it. Let me just clean up the chart a little bit over here. Maybe take this diagonal out the way. Let's take a time fib from the high to the low. So let's say that's your WXY. We're now busy building the X wave here to the upside. So what I like to do is we need to wait for X to be done. Okay. But if it's going to be somewhere in this zone, your Y wave can extend, I would say, maximum in this zone. That's the maximum target. I don't really want a structure to start surpassing the 4 extension or the 5 extension or the 6 extension. Okay, but the 4, this is why number 4 is red in color, because that for me is already like something's wrong. Okay, but in a corrective structure, the 3 target is usually the minimum target. If you want a perfect ratio, then it's the 1-to-1 extension, which then means that you have a 1-to-1 corrective structure. Okay, and that's usually the perfect ratio, which means that this correction could come to an end in March this year already. Then maybe we're going to invalidate the 4-year cycle theory by continuing to the upside. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, because according to the 4-year cycle theory, we're supposed to end the bear market in October this year. So if it's going to end here in March, well, you know, at some point, guys, I know for a fact, at some point, the 4-year cycle theory is going to get invalidated. If not already, I don't know. No one knows. But what if we make a low year in March and then we absolutely explode to the upside? Then the 4-year cycle theory is down the drain. Okay, because the correction is supposed to extend until October according to the 4-year cycle theory. This, ladies and gentlemen, is supposed to go over here. But there is a way that it can get there. There is a way that it can get there. So let me explain. So let's say in spirit of the 4-year cycle theory that will not get invalidated, you could do this. Okay, you could do this. I just want to put a timer in here so we know exactly where October is. Let's take a, where's that horizontal vertical line? Let's put it here by October. Let's put it here by the 6th. Okay, and I can take this out the way just to clean up the chart. So what could happen is the following. After a WXY to the downside, it can give you a A. You then do a B and you do a C. So a three-wave structure can create a larger corrective structure. So this does not necessarily have to be the end. You could form a WXY that gives you an A, okay? And then you go up for a long B, B can be very, very long and boring. B waves are generally the waves that takes the most time. They can drag on forever, okay? But you could do this, and you basically extend the correction. A, B, C. But then if I zoom in here, you can see, okay, even if the Fourier cycle theory had to play out, it just means that we are going to form a larger corrective structure so that it finishes in October. Best case scenario, it finishes over here and it invalidates the Fourier cycle theory. Worst case scenario is we respect the Fourier cycle theory. Everyone just doesn't want to believe it. We go up, people believe the bull market's back, and we fall down again and we claim the low. And you basically just form a larger three-wave structure. Okay. So very good question. When I traded stocks, crypto had all the gains in the world. Then I get into crypto and boom, we get the most boring bull market ever. Yes, and I mean, look at silver, look at gold, guys. Look at the S&P 500. Everything is smacking all-time highs. But you have to remember, the one thing you have to remember is that each commodity, token, equity will have its time to shine, because you will have a time in Bitcoin. Where's that nested one to? You will have a time in Bitcoin where gold and silver is going to do absolutely nothing. They are going to have their bearing bull markets. And then Bitcoin could have the best bull market that everyone has ever seen in their lives, because it depends on where in the cycle the token is. Okay, so this structure has now formed 1, 2, 1, 2, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller. It's squeezing like a spring. Okay, and at some point you're going to get that explosion, the third wave here to the upside. I have no idea how high it's going to go, but it can easily smack $1 million. Okay, it can really rock and roll here to the upside, guys. And these are not exact targets. I just want to share, these are not exact targets. I'm just trying to show you what could happen here to the upside based on this structure. No one knows where Bitcoin's going to go. Okay, even if it goes into a super cycle, we don't know how high it's going to go. But it could be that gold and silver, for example, is inside of their third waves already. They've already built the structure. Now they're busy with their third waves. And then gold and silver during Bitcoin's next bull cycle is going to do the boring ones over here, where Bitcoin is going to have the... So it depends on where in the cycle the commodity is. Bitcoin is potentially building up momentum for an explosion, and it's not ready yet. This is why everything else could be outperforming, because they are in different stages of their cycle. Okay, silver and gold could be in the third wave already. And then when Bitcoin goes into the third wave, silver and gold could be going into this long, boring ass price action that just chops up and down and up and down and up and down. Okay, so there could be a rotation in the next bull cycle. There could be a rotation where every single other commodity, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, gold and silver, does absolutely nothing. It looks like it's just going sideways, and then crypto goes absolutely ballistic, because then it's in a different stage of the cycle. Dewald, I remember when you were saying that bull market is not over, only after we change structure. Yes, I know. And structure needs to confirm it, but this is just a scenario that I'm discussing based on the Fourier cycle theory. So I will stand by what I said. If I go here, just switch this off. Okay, it's not over until it's over. So here on the Peros, you make a very good point. Okay, it's not over until it's over. For the moment, we still have a higher low. The only reason I'm discussing the scenario is not because I believe it's going to happen. I'm just saying, what if the 4-year cycle theory has not been invalidated? Then we could be in a bear market. Most people have not realized it yet, because do you guys remember? I remember very clearly just wait for this to load up. During the previous bear cycle, no one wanted to believe that we were in a bear market. No one wanted to believe it. It was only after the FTX collapse here to the downside where people were like, maybe we are in a bear market. Okay, it's that denial. It's the denial phase inside of the cycle. There was loads of denial inside of this zone. And then when we started moving down, people were like, okay, maybe there's still a hope. And then the FTX collapsed. And when we started, going down here to $19,000, $17,000, that's only when most people, retail included, start realizing, oh, maybe we are inside of a bear market. But people usually realize this too late. Okay, but yes, you are very, 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 very correct, because it's, for now, you have a low, you have a higher low. And as long as you can maintain this higher low, there's a high chance you're going to take out the high. So structurally, it has not been invalidated. But if this does form an WXY to the downside, well, then it's going to be invalidated. And for now, what I like to see is after a low is made, especially on the higher time frame, after a low is made, is this impulsive or is this corrective? And for the moment, this structure has a higher chance of being corrective, unfortunately. Okay. There's a leading diagonal in there, and I know I see some Elliott wave counters are just saying, hey, that's a diagonal. Okay, that's 1. This is 2. We're now going to go up for 3, 4, 5. If they are right, I will definitely join the party. Okay, but I will only join the party over here, because I first need to see the 5-wave structure. And then I will join the party over here. But for now, at the moment, even where price is here at the moment, this is a 3-wave structure. It's not a 5-wave structure. There's issues inside of the diagonal on the smaller time frames. Okay, so I cannot with high probability say that this low has a high chance of maintaining and we're just going to continue the bull market to the upside. It's just the structure is not pretty from an impulsive perspective. Again, you're dealing with a diagonal. Diagonals never have the highest probability. Like I've discussed over here, guys, here was a diagonal that got invalidated again. Okay, there's been many diagonals that got invalidated. Do you guys remember this one? Oh, we have a diagonal. We're going up. Bam, you took the low. Okay, that was the first one. We had a diagonal over there. Now we have another diagonal. We're going up. There was issues inside of that diagonal, and there's an issue in this specific leg over here. Sometimes it is what it is, but guys, for me, this looks like a 5-wave structure. Okay, you can go and onto the smaller time frames, and if you see a 3-wave structure in there, please share it inside of our community. Okay, email it to me, send it to me on Telegram. I cannot count with high confidence a 3-wave structure in this move, because your 5th wave is a 3-wave structure, which means that all of your structures has to be 3-wave structures. Now this is the one that gives the scenario even lower probability that you're going to form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. But that's the thing, guys. If I'm wrong, I'm still going to join the move, okay, based on the correction. Only 300 followers needed for 7K. Oh, that would be absolutely amazing. We're getting there. We're getting there. Dewald, I really appreciate you coming up with such unique scenarios which others might not even imagine. I truly believe someday these what if will save us from being caught off guard. Jack, yeah, definitely, man. You know, I really try and stay as neutral as I possibly can, because the one thing you have to remember is that from a day trading perspective, when I trade these local structures, I don't care whether we are in a bear or bull market. I just trade the structures. I had an amazing trade here to the upside. Okay, it was really a great trade, a great profitable trade. Okay, I'm not going to mention any amounts, but as you guys can see, I mean, here was 13k here to the upside, and I already closed 80% of the position over here. So, you know, it was a quite significant trade, but it was a high probable trade. It ticked all of my boxes. My risk management was amazing. I got in at such a great level. Protect, stop loss below the low. Price moved up. Okay, I took profits in this zone. I left some of the position open, closed some of the position here, closed a little bit there, out of the trade. But I'm a day trader, so I can trade these structures. I don't care if we're in a bull or bear market. I do care when I put my investment hat on from a spot perspective. It sucks, we're going into a bear market again. But then I also remind myself that bear market and fear creates opportunity to load up. So yes, this could have most probably been, well, this has definitely been, if we are in a bear market, been the most boring bull market that I have ever traded on Bitcoin. And it might not be the last. Okay, sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes maybe you're going to have a great bull market, and maybe sometimes you're going to have a very disappointing bull market. It can't all be great, I suppose. Yeah, from a spot perspective, it sucks. Now we have to wait, but it also presents opportunity. Is it correct that in Elliott wave of 1 to 5, the starting of wave is always a upside down curve to hit the downside up curve? No, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I'm not exactly sure. Mr. Joan, Dewald, maybe we have brand new diagonal ending in this high. Oh, wait. Let's go here onto the 15-minute time frame. Can we have a... Are you talking about maybe something like this, where you form a diagonal here to the upside? Are you talking, Joan, are you talking local or macro? You may be talking about something like this, where you have 1, 2, well, you're talking about something like this? Yeah, definitely a possibility, but I mean, there's still a lot that needs to happen here. No. Okay, from 80k. From 80k. Okay, let's see. From 80k. Let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. From 80k. Oh, I see what you mean. I see. From 80k. Bigger time frame. Okay. Bigger time frame. That's what you mean. So this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that what you mean? 4 hour from 80k. Yeah, well, 4 hour from 80k. Yeah, that's basically... Okay. Or the other diagonal that could form over here. I'm not sure if I actually have it here, but I know there's another diagonal, guys, that can form here. This is your 1. We go up for 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then this becomes your diagonal. Oops. I have it drawn out somewhere, and I did share it with the community. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could also be an ending diagonal, where you basically form an A, B, C, and an ending diagonal. Okay, we just don't know how high that's going to go, because I mean that could also be 2. That's going to end over there. I don't know how high that's going to go. But yeah, diagonals here on the larger time frames. I like to talk about diagonals when you at least have 3 and 4. Okay, it's still it's only speculative here at the moment, but based on this structure, The local structure here on the 4-hour time frame, this little bad boy, this could form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could still turn into a bullish structure. Correction, continuation. A leading diagonal. Correction is done. Okay. Higher low will maintain over here. But there's not enough price action to confirm the structure yet. That could work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction, continuation. I want to see a simple zigzag. I don't want that high to be claimed again. I'll apply the rules, see how this plays out. But I mean, again, diagonals never carry the highest probability. I know people love diagonals because as humans, we are programmed to see patterns. You want to see a pattern somewhere. You look at something that doesn't make sense and you want to put it in a box and make sense of it. So people usually gravitate towards patterns. But in Elliott wave theory, diagonals, which are patterns, actually carry the lowest probability. Okay. Yes, that's a rising wedge. Your help required. I'm not able to send messages to Mindpillar. Why not? Why are you not able? You just search for @Mindpillar and then you should be able to send a message. What I'll also do is maybe I'll after the live stream, I will post a link that takes you directly to the Mindpillar page inside of the description. I'll go update the description after this live stream. Maybe that will help. Okay. Where can I study and learn all the major details of Elliott wave like you use? WXY. One of the sites that I use is, I think it's called Elliott wave C currency. Here we go. Yes, one of the websites you guys can use. Let me just put myself here a little bit in the smaller corner at the, whoops. Let me do that. There we go. This is a brilliant website. This is a website that Koen actually showed me long ago. Okay, Koen actually told me, for those of you that know Koen actually told me, Dewald, if you want to study Elliott waves, this is one of the best websites that's free. Okay, if you want to study Elliott waves, it goes through all the structures, diagonals, WXYs, it has everything in here. Okay, ABCs, impulses, it has everything. Okay. Right, there you go. Triangles, there's basically all your triangles. I'm not sure if the site goes through probabilities. I can't really remember. But I mean, it's the most comprehensive website that I have found from an Elliott wave perspective. So go and knock your socks off. It's called Elliott Currency. Okay, there's the name of the website. It's free, guys. You don't have to pay for this. Okay, but I am also recording some proper Elliott wave courses, modules that I'm going to include inside of my course, because it can be very daunting, and to go through something like this, it can be very daunting. Okay, it's a lot of theory. I'm a picture person, so I struggle to absorb information just by looking at writing the whole time. So I like to, do the theory, but loads of examples, loads of pictures, like take me to Bitcoin and show me a WXY. Show me another one. Show me one that didn't play out. I want to see a diagonal inside of Bitcoin, because often with these theoretical books is that they show you the patterns that just looks perfect. But when you try and apply that to real price action, that's usually where it becomes a little bit tricky. Right. Ooh, some nice bullish CVD building up here, guys, at the moment. Some really nice bullish CVD. I mean, look at this, okay? Falling here to the downside. Oh, but then we have some bearish CVD against those two birds. So it's a little bit of a mix. But I'm still in the short. I have not been stopped out. Short, I'm still in that long. I have not been stopped out. So let's see how this trade plays out. Oh, my man, your help required. Okay, I've gone through that. Okay, can't wait for that. Right, everyone, just as a last reminder, this is the last day okay, to get free access to the community. 30 days free access to myself and Andy's community. We have technical analysis that we provide every day. We have Dylan that goes live privately inside of Telegram. You get my trader playbook that I wrote, that goes into psychology, gives you templates. It's a great book. Okay, I spent a lot of time putting that together. And so if you want the Trader Playbook, 30 days free access to our community, today is the last day. You need to join Telegram. Message the word Dewald to @mindpillar. You will get additional instructions that you need to follow in order to get the free access. But one of the requirements is you have to sign up with one of my links. Bluffin, where, by the way, if you sign up with Bluffin, you get 30 days free VIP 1. So you get all the benefits of being a VIP inside of Bluffin for 30 days. And then Valto, if you want to trade a little bit more discreetly, okay, they have the lowest trading fees at the moment from any exchange that I know of. Lowest trading fees. So thank you so much for joining. Have yourselves an amazing Wednesday. Until the next one, cheers for now.